Hi, Salika here for Peak Survival. I am with Chris from the Arizona Hiking Shack. We are in Arizona. This is our first desert series. So we're going to be breaking it down in different themes. And the first one we're going to be talking about is shelters and the different options available to you. Now remember, this is pertaining to the desert and Arizona environment. So don't necessarily take all of this and try to apply it to a completely different climate. So Chris will introduce us to one concept of shelter, and we're going to go into different ones, including full tents, hammocks, and so Chris, take it away. We can start with one suggestion.
All right. This is the MSR Hubba tent. It can be set up in a fast fly like this without the tent part, so you can just get shelter from the rain or sun.
Yeah.
And this gives you an ultralight setup with the option of going with a standard tent underneath. The advantages of this obviously are that they're light. The disadvantages is that you're exposed to creepy crawlies and critters that might get underneath the tent at night. During the day when you leave your gear, it needs to be secured if you have a setup like this.
So something to keep in mind, especially if you're going to camp during the nighttime, the temperatures do change quite drastically in the desert from hot to cold. So you want to definitely consider having some kind of insulation mat, either one of the foam ones or the inflatable types. So you definitely want to have the insulating layer. It's not necessarily for comfort. If you want it for comfort, that's fantastic, but it's more for insulation. So this is one suggestion. We're going to be moving on to the next ones. Hi everyone, welcome back to Peak Survival. This is part 2 of desert shelter selection. We are with Chris from the Arizona Hiking Shack, and this is the second upgrade. So take me through this one.
So I believe this is probably a perfect tent for Arizona. It's a little more traditional. It has a floor and a rain fly to protect you from the elements. The thing I like about this tent is that it's 2 pounds 2 ounces and it's a 2-person tent. So basically, for the weight of some 1-person tents, you get 2-person, and because we don't get a lot of rain, a lighter tent like this is very functional.
Yeah, very good point. And in terms of breathability, there's some nice, if you can see in here, some nice mesh too. So it allows some nice cool air in there. And you got some shelter, sturdy, lightweight, definitely another option if you're the type of person that feels that you need that extra protection and comfort. Hi everyone, welcome to Peak Survival. We're here with Chris at the Arizona Hiking Shack, and we're going to be discussing another option of shelter. This is a little bit more heavy duty and all around sturdiness. So Chris, let's look at this model.
So this is the MSR Hubba Hubba. It is a 2-person tent. This can be set up with or without the floor and the standard tent part of it. The advantages of a tent like this, it's a little heavier, but it's going to handle higher winds, more inclement weather, 3-season use where you could encounter some snow. I might go with a little more durable shelter like this. And also, if I'm going to be in colder temperatures where I'm going to have to carry more gear, I might opt for a bigger tent, something in the 2-person size like this MSR.
Perfect. So a little bit heavier, bigger, sturdier, but you have a little bit more flexibility with it. So moving on to our next option. I'm with Mike, who's had 11 years of experience hiking and just camping out in the desert and in the Arizona environment. And he's also done part of the AT, so that's really amazing. We've done the AT, and it's been just a memorable journey. So he's been exposed to a lot of different environments and situations. So he's definitely a great person to be talking to right now about different shelters to be able to use in various sort of environments. So what we're going to be focusing on is specifically for the desert and Arizona setting. And Mike is notorious for being a little bit more minimalist, which I do respect and enjoy, and I'm actually going to be gravitating towards that a little bit more. So Mike, if you want to take us through your traditional setup and the advantages of it, and take it away.
Awesome. Well, this is my traditional setup. It is simply a sleeping pad with my sleeping bag on top of it. We're pretty lucky out here in the desert. We don't have a lot of rain, and we don't have a lot of creepy crawlies to to get into your sleeping bag, so it works pretty well. You get to spend your night staring up at the stars instead of staring at a silk wall or a nylon wall of a tent. Also, if you're going to go lightweight, it makes sense to go lightweight. People will shave half their toothbrush handle off to save a couple of grams, but then they bring an extraneous 3.5-pound tent along with them.
Very true.
I generally use a tarp, a light tarp, and then if it rains, I roll up in it like a burrito. I sleep outdoors over 100 days a year for the past decade, and I've had to roll up in a tarp one time. For the rain, it just simply doesn't rain here, so you don't have to worry about it. If people want and are concerned about the creepy crawlies, you can certainly get in and shake out your sleeping bag before you get in every day. That said, I have never had a problem with that and have never known any person to have a problem with that either. It's a lot more aesthetic, a lot more fun way to sleep in my opinion, and it saves a lot of weight. That said, if I were doing the AT or somewhere out east or maybe somewhere up in Washington in like the rainforest, I would definitely have some type of more of a legitimate shelter. But out in the desert, this works awesome.
Oh, looks really, really comfortable. Actually, I'm gonna just lie on it for a little bit, and oh, yeah, no, I can imagine just being able to just enjoy the beautiful stars like this, and yeah, very, very comfortable. And the next shelter option we're going to be talking about is the Bivy. Now, we've talked about this before in other videos, but I'm just going to reiterate some points, the pros and cons of this shelter type. So Mike, take it away.
Well, if you do want some kind or need some kind of legitimate shelter, but you do want to save some weight off of a backpack, a good option is a Bivy sack. These are generally made out of some Gore-Tex or waterproof breathable type membrane, so that as you put them over you, they will protect you from the rain, but yet will still breathe a bit so you don't get as much condensation between your sleeping bag and the walls. A lot of bivvies nowadays are almost kind of a hybrid between a tent. They have little poles that will lift it up off your face, so it doesn't feel like you're in a coffin or something like that. It actually makes it very breathable, very livable. And you have some no-see-um netting here so that keep the bugs off. So this is a good compromise between a tent and nothing at all. They generally will weigh maybe 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, which is maybe half the weight of a lightweight tent, but still give you 100% protection from rain, bugs, snow, whatever you need.
Yeah. And I mean, for those of you who said they do feel a little claustrophobic, this type of model might be a better choice for you. You know, you do have that structure, that frame. And in terms of condensation, some people in the past have you know, maybe they just sweat more at night. So, I mean, this is Gore-Tex, and it has a certain, you know, breathability to it. But every now and then you can experience sort of having a little bit of a, sort of like a moisture layer, if you will. But, you know, it's a very tiny price to pay if you're looking for something really lightweight. So, again, depending on your style and your level of experience with the outdoors, you have many options to choose from. And you can either work your way from something a little bit more traditional until you feel a lot more confident in doing something a little bit more minimalist. So those are your options available for the desert.